Hello. So it's the King's coronation this Saturday, and I thought, well, I'd share with you something that I did last year, and I wasn't sure whether I was going to do anything with the images that I'd taken, but I made my mum a little needle case. So I'm just going to show you how I made that. Here's some of the pictures in England at the time. Just before her funeral, she was in all the shop windows, flags everywhere. And didn't she do well? She did so well. So this is how I decided to transfer the image. I just got some thin cotton, tightly woven is good, and this craft spray glue that I just spray everywhere, on the computer, on the table, everywhere. And then I push it down with my fingers and get it as flat as I possibly can onto some photo paper. And then I print it out, and Bob's your uncle. I did test this with water and it didn't run, it was absolutely fine. And I mean, this isn't something that's going to be like washed every 5 minutes. It's a needle case to go in my mum's sewing box, so it's not like it's going to get a load of wear and tear. So these are stencils that I got quite cheaply. Some stencils are really expensive, but these are quite cheap and cheerful, and they're fine for what I want to do with them. And this is also cheap textile paint, which is from the same cheap shop. Now, I knew this wasn't going to be like a fantastic quality, but like I say, for what I wanted to do with it, it's fine. And I just want to have fun with fabric. I just want to play, and this is absolutely fine for my budget. So the reason that I chose this photo was because basically I think I love the dress. This is the coronation dress from 1953, designed by Norman Hartnell, who also did a wedding dress, and it's just absolutely stunning when you see the close-up photos of all the embroidery and the plique and the pearls and the designs that are on it. Absolutely stunning. And these really subtle colours of copper and pinky yellows and just really stunning shades. And it's embroidered with plants and vegetables that all have symbolic meanings of the Commonwealth country. So you have the rose for England, the Scottish thistle, shamrock, the wattle for Australia, maple leaves, ferns, lotus flowers. It's absolutely gorgeous. And all these gold and silver threads, and lovely. When I first heard that there was leeks on her dress, because that's a symbol of Wales, I kind of thought, no, I can't imagine a leek on that dress embroidered onto it. But when I saw what the images of what the interpretation of the leeks were, they're leeks in bloom, so they've got the nice purpley type of flower coming out the top. So it looks absolutely lush. Gorgeous leeks. So these are my other textile paints, keeping it in the red, white and blue. And all these paints didn't have the same consistency. So that's a smaller circle stencil. And as you can see, the black's bled a little bit. But you know, that's just part of the charm, isn't it? Just makes it look more rustic. It's on purpose. Just have to embrace it, don't you? It's the joy of doing it, that's what it is. So I left everything to dry, and then I came back to it and attached this kind of cheesecloth muslin type thing to the back to make it a bit more solid and be able to tie off the threads behind. And then I got this metallic white thread that I've chose to do some just a bit of decorating and highlighting. And so I've drawn around some of the circles, and then I did backstitch around them. I just decide to go for it. And this is just the part where you just sit down and enjoy yourself, don't you? Get all your bits and pieces out, all your sequins, all your pearls, different threads, and sit down at the table and just have a nice time. So now I'm on to doing little highlights on a pearl necklace. So I'm doing little French knots around for each pearl. Did some embroidery on the crown. Just picked up little highlights here and there, earrings, things like that. Just decorating bits and pieces and having a look to see what I like the effect of. Then I take this kind of coppery coloured thread to do these tassel-y things that I really liked on the dress. Whatever this technical term is for these shoulder pad things. They're really nice though, aren't they? Really nice. Then I open my little vintage suitcase with all my bits of wool and all types of embroidery things that are little bits and pieces I've picked up from the second-hand shop. Bits of wool, anything that I find that I like goes in this suitcase. And I'm just getting it all out and having a look to, well, not all of it, but getting the colours out that I like. So I choose this gold thread and I decide to do a bit of a frame around the photo. So I do both corners with just like a long stitch in both corners with this nice chunky thick wool that gives a lot of texture. And then I want to add a little bit of colour, so I take a strand of this blue metallic embroidery thread with the white metallic embroidery thread, and I come in and just do kind of a tail on the end of each stitch, so wherever the wool is. So I'm not pulling tight on the wool because I want it to be still springy and loose. So I'm doing these very loose stitches on the end of every bit of wool or yarn or whatever you call it. I've got all the technical terms, haven't I? And so I do this on both corners as well. Try to keep a little bit of symmetry. And voila. Now I'm adding a little bit of colour with a bit of red yarn. That's all bubbly and textured and that I really like. And then I'm adding some lowlights to go with the highlights. And I'm just doing like a big chain stitch to fan out. Now I'm having a little think about what I think it looks like. I've added some running stitch at the bottom, couple of sequins on the left. And then I'm in my stash and my suitcase again, pulling things out. I'm in my kids' cupboards, getting stuff out. I really wanted to use this and I didn't. And there's this that is brand new. I think people knit with it to make like sponges or something, but it actually really handles quite well and it's a bit shiny, and if you do little French knots with it, I just think it gives a really nice fluffy effect. You wouldn't think it would work well, but it actually pulls through the material quite easily. So do a few French knots next to these sequins with pearls on. Until I'm happy with that. And so I've just added this yarn here and here and there. And then I'm on to the yo-yos. So I drew some circles on this gorgeous stripy red and white material. So you draw a circle and you leave about 0.5 centimetre around the edge. And then you go in with a really nice strong thread. And you go all the way around the circle with stitches of even stitches if you can, but not too big, maybe about this big. And you go all the way around it and then you pull it at the end. So obviously you want to start out with a much larger circle and you want to have at the end probably about half. And then when you pull it, you get this really nice yo-yo. So I decided to do 3. And 3s are always a really good number. I just finished it off with a double knot. And I've decided to put these yo-yos on the sort of spine of the needle booklet. So I mark the middle of each yo-yo, so I've got a point of some sort of reference point. And I just sew along there while I pin it first. And then sewed along there on the machine. So that when we flip it open, this book, the yo-yos are going to be on the side like that. So obviously my type of sewing isn't really for the faint-hearted. I haven't cut anything down yet. And I just get this piece of material that my pencil case that's on the corner is made out of the same material. Also from the second-hand shop, little bits of scraps. So this is the back of the needle book. So I've sewn those two parts together. And now it's just at this point that I'm going to cut it down. I think most people probably would do it the other way. Cut it to the right side first, right sizes first and then, but oh, whatever. And then this is going to be the inside of the book. So I'm going to sew all the way around it, remembering to leave a little gap so you can turn it inside out. So I sewed that on the machine. And then I cut the corners so I can get a nice point. Chop them off. And then that magic moment when you turn it the right side out. You think, oh God, what's it going to look like? And then you press it all open. And you go, oh, lovely. Because you have to say that, don't you? Because you've spent time on it. So I'm poking out the sides, all the little corners, trying not to go through them. Slow job, delicate business. And there we go. So I hand stitched these things in at the end because because you need somewhere to put your needles. And a little press stud. And that's it. A nice little project that was so fun to do. There we go. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. Like it if you've liked it, subscribe if you wanna. Lovely.